Hey, this is Eli Campbell. You know, Steamboat is renowned worldwide for skiing, biking, and all that our natural playground has to offer. We're fortunate, though, that the natural beauty here attracts more than just outdoor enthusiasts. From local legends to world-class acts, amazing musicians regularly play the venues in our little corner of Northwest Colorado. Join me as I explore the stories and experiences of these talented artists who bring unforgettable performances to Steamboat. This is your Steamboat Sound Check. Welcome to the Steamboat Sound Check Podcast, presented by McCreight Progressive Dentistry. This morning, I am joined by Dave Halchak of Giant Walking Robots as we continue our series of featuring musicians that are going to be playing Schmiggities. And again, a quick reminder before I get to Dave, if you open up the Steamboat Locals app, you'll find a link in there to get a free well drink if you're heading to Schmiggities this weekend. Welcome, Dave. How are you doing today?
Oh, doing great. Doing great. Getting ready for the shows this weekend.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you up here with Giant Walking Robots playing tomorrow night, the 17th at Schmiggity's. You're actually going to be returning later this month as well with Wake Up and Live, your Bob Marley tribute band. You're clearly keeping busy heading two bands. You're a music booker in your day-to-day job, and you're a family man. So how are you able to balance all of those roles while kind of still keeping that creative inspiration alive to make new music?
Well, I have a very supportive wife, number one.
It's always important. I do too, and I couldn't do it without her.
Gotta have a team. You gotta have a team. Yeah, it's challenging. I'm not gonna lie. My son had me up at 6 a.m. this morning, which to some people is not a big deal, but to me, that is very early. But you just gotta kind of roll with it. Fight through the tiredness and find time to set aside practice. I got my guitar right next to me here. Usually my synth is set up right next to me, but we're playing tonight in Denver, so I'm ready to load out. But you just got to kind of make sure that you're carving out time for yourself and for your practice, and allowing me personally, a lot of that time comes later in the night, sleep, and just, gets my head a little more open to what's kind of trying to flow through.
Yeah, you are staying busy, like I said. You've been playing in this Bob Marley tribute band for well over a decade, which obviously speaks to your deep connection to reggae music. With Giant Walking Robots, you kind of infuse that reggae into rock and jamtronica. How did that transition of, kind of tribute band playing the timeless classics of another musician, moving into creating your own distinctive sound come about?
Sure. Pretty naturally, honestly. I've been playing music since I was in high school and have always written original music. The Bob thing came in when I didn't have an original band. And, Giant Walking Robots did start out pretty reggae centric. And as we all kind of melded our heads together and started writing more together, um, our sound pulled together. A big part of that is the production. A big part of that is involving the other three guys in the writing process, as opposed to me just going and writing, bringing it to the band, present. The fact that we now write more as a unit has brought out the sound. And we've always wanted to incorporate electronic and jam elements. I think it just took us a minute to get there. And I think all four of us feel like we have developed our sound, and that's apparent on our new album. That's apparent when you see us live. People assume, oh, you're a reggae band. It's like, well, we have reggae influences, but we also do this and we go there and we go here. So we're not to say we're all over the place, but we do really enjoy mixing it all together. Super dancey, mixed with some reggae influences and rock, just we love the improv elements as well. So it's fun to make it dancey. We love playing Schmiggities because the crowd is always so receptive, and just ready to get down.
Yeah, and You talked about your bandmates. Obviously, there's four of you. You all come from different backgrounds, which helps bring different influences into the picture when you're coming to the writing table. You're originally from New Jersey. You're now based in Denver. Do you feel like there's some of that fusion of the East Coast upbringing that you had in those roots combined with the kind of laid back Western mountain lifestyle that influences your music and how you are able to seamlessly kind of blend some genres together?
Oh yeah, 100%. Growing up in New Jersey, I've been in Denver for over 16 years now. So New Jersey seems almost like a distant memory. But growing up in New Jersey, you're kind of hit over the head with Fish and jam bands, in a good way. It's not a bad thing. It's just kind of what I came up on. And into my early 20s, I always listened to a lot of Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, the classics, but as I got a little older, there was younger bands that started doing it and mixing a lot of influences. So I think just like having the backdrop of the jam bands, which, some people might say is like a bad word, but I don't mind it. I think just having those influences bouncing around in all four of our heads is kind of what makes it all come through. And I do think Colorado played a big role in, when I came here, I did start Wake Up and Live, and the playing Bob Marley's music does impact you in a positive way and does come through in your playing because you have to know those songs. You can't fake those songs. If you fake those songs, it's going to come off as, not that great. So you have to really internalize those songs and the message. And I think it does just kind of naturally flow through when I'm playing in other configurations, i.e., giant walking robots.
And as you said, all those influences kind of come together on the latest album, Wake Up, which was released back in September. Title does seem to echo a little bit Wake Up and Live. Was that intentional or just coincidental that you kind of were going with that same messaging and that same path there?
It was. And like in retrospect, it's kind of funny to us because it's so close. But Wake Up was actually a song I wrote when I lived in New Jersey, but it just never came. I never had the right band around me to help me bring that song to life until Giant Walking Robots. And it's funny because all the songs are really new, except that one, it is new, but like lyrically, I wrote it a long time ago. Um, but yeah, it wasn't intentional. It was just kind of the song that popped out to all four of us as the one that really gives like a nice synopsis of what we do without even really being electronic. It's got an electronic feel. Because we don't use samples on that one. We don't use backing tracks. Like it's a very organic song, but it feels electronic and it feels very Giant Walking Robots, we think.
Yeah, and the whole album really has that unique kind of giant walking robot sound to it, and it shows the evolution of you guys as a band. Can you talk about how the album came together, not just the title track that came from, previous life of lyrically at least, but the whole
Yeah.
thing, how it came together for you and the band?
Um, it came together pretty organically. We tracked, which means like we recorded. And then we kind of, so our lead guitarist slash synthesist did pretty much all the production work with assistance from us, but he spearheaded it. He's the guy who's got the nice studio. He's got all the tools. Um, it came together in a way where we tracked the songs and then the songs took on their own life once it started getting produced, and it introduced new ideas that we kind of, we ended up tweaking some of the things that we originally tracked and thought might be this way, but kind of ended up being a little more this way, in a good way, we think. So pretty organically and with a lot of hard work, especially from our lead guitarist Wilson. So
Yeah, and I was talking to your friends Jim Cotta yesterday, talking about how, as independent or kind of artists that are in this world where you do a lot of your own kind of production and all these elements, there's a lot of heart and soul that goes into it. It gives you a little bit more of that creative control, but certainly a lot of work that goes into it. And you'll be bringing that work to Schmiggity's tomorrow night. I have to ask you about a social media video that you posted to promote this show. It looked like you were snowboarding maybe in your front yard on a couple inches of snow, and very facetiously, you're talking about being in the legendary trees of Steamboat. And even though there's a good amount of sarcasm in there, and there's only a couple inches of snow, you're doing it in jeans. So, I mean, you know how we feel about people who ski and ride in jeans up here, right? Like, please tell me you're not going to bring
I
that to Steamboat.
100%, it was 100% intentional. And we were trying, my wife was filming and we just moved to this house. So that was like, oh man, there's like a little hill in the front. If we could catch the cars going by, the stop sign, like really make it obvious that we're not in Steamboat.
Yeah.
Um, I literally wasn't even wearing jeans that day. And I was like, you know what? It was real last minute. We were with my son and I was like, the sun's going down. I'm gonna throw on my rock board because there wasn't much snow. And I did end up going into some rocks. And I intentionally put on jeans as a joke. I do not ski in jeans. I've got a bib. I know I like to think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I do know all about the jokes about skiing in jeans, and I make them as well. And to be clear, I'm not a Jerry. Let's leave it
Well,
there, I guess. All right.
yeah, yeah. I
I'll
love
shred
it.
with any of y'all. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go.
Well, we hope to see you up here. Obviously, one of the benefits of playing in Steamboat is the opportunity to get on the slopes.
Oh yeah.
You're going to be here tomorrow night with Giant Walking Robots. Again, in a couple of weeks, like we've talked about with the Wake Up and Live, your Bob Marley tribute band. Both times at Schmiggity's, you said you love the atmosphere there. What is it about Schmiggity's and specifically these Steamboat audiences, comparing them to other kind of mountain towns you visit, that you really love to come back to Steamboat?
Number one, the owners and the staff at Schmiggity's have, become like family over the years. Kim and Pat take care of us so well. They've literally, they have a house that they put bands up. They've literally had that full and put us up in their house. It's literally like they are so nice. They're so genuine. Patton is a musician, so he understands it not only from a venue's perspective, but from a musician's perspective. And I think that's really important because you can own a venue and be a good business person, but not have a clue what it's like to go out and drive through the mountains in a van when you're risking your life just to get to the show. I think on the other topic, the audience in Steamboat, um, we've played all the mountain towns, around Colorado, Utah, the surrounding states, and Steamboat just it seems to almost have when I first moved here in 2008 and I felt like you got this more, but what you feel when you play at Schmiggity's is an openness from the crowd. They're just ready for whether it's Bob Marley covers or original music, they are ready and eager to take it all in, give you back that energy, have a good time, because that's what it's about. It's about just like letting loose, like listening to good music, listening to what the band has to say and put out there, but also just like letting loose, having fun, not worrying like, oh man, is someone going to see me dancing like, like crazy? It's like, it doesn't matter. That's what it's about. There's that famous quote of like, I have it on my desk back here. It's like, work like you don't need the money, love like you never been hurt, dance like nobody's watching. Sorry, I had to reference it back there, but it's so true. I mean, like, it just feels like everyone's there to have a good time. They don't give a shit what's going on, other than like if it's dumping, they're probably gonna leave a little early so they can get on the mountain, or they'll just go to close and first chair
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, who needs sleep on a powder day? And you might actually
Uh-huh.
get to see that tomorrow night. I think there's supposed to be some snow coming in overnight tomorrow night when you're here with giant walking robots. And again, as we've been talking about, January 31st with Wake Up and Live. Well, you're going to be playing songs off the Exodus album with that one, part of the 13th annual Bob Marley Birthday Celebration. I had the opportunity to talk to the great Aston Barrett Jr. of the Wailers and ask him this question. And I want to ask you, his perspective obviously comes from someone whose whole life has been entrenched in reggae music and specifically Bob Marley's music. Kind of interested to get your perspective as a kid from New Jersey, the frontman of a Bob Marley tribute band. What is it about Bob Marley's music that resonates timelessly with people from all walks of life, and not only has led you to play in the tribute band, but influences what you do with giant walking robots?
I think it's the positivity. His message is very militant, but at the same time positive, if that makes sense. Um, I think many people like myself have grown up with his music around us, whether we realized it or not. Like I always flash back to being a little kid and there was like there was a commercial that always used to play on TV, when you had to watch commercials about Jamaica. And of course, they were using Bob's music. And like, I think it's just so ingrained in our culture. And like, not just our culture, everyone's culture. And it's so timeless in a way that, he wrote these songs in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and like, many of them, whether unfortunately or fortunately, pending the message, like so many of his messages ring true still today. People, we're fighting for equality, we're fighting for rights. And that's the unfortunate side of things. But on the positive side of thing, like I think people just are able to let go a little bit, sing along, they're so memorable that even if you don't think you know the words to his songs, once you hear that song, you're, oh yeah, I know all these words. It's just a part of our lives, about a part of everyone's lives without even realizing it, I think.
And that's a similar answer that I got from Aston Barrett Jr. was just the positivity of the message and bringing about that message of, don't worry, everything is going to be all right type of ideal. Well,
Yep.
whether it's tomorrow with giant walking robots or on the 31st with Wake Up and Live, I look forward to seeing you in Steamboat. Thank you for joining me this morning. Safe travels when you're heading out here tomorrow, and don't pack those jeans.
Thank you, Eli, so much.